Okay, so this one's a lot of fun. This is what we refer to as guerrilla marketing or guerrilla advertising. It's just simply the idea of getting out there in front of people. It's an advertising strategy which the company uses surprise or unconventional interactions to try to get people's attention. You'll be familiar with this one. I live near Chicago, and you'll go in downtown Chicago sometimes, and there'll be somebody standing on a street corner in a Statue of Liberty costume to try to get you to do your taxes for you. Or you'll find somebody walking around in some type of a get-up, and they'll be handing out samples or whatever it might be. Or you see stuff where companies will do a flash dance or something different just to try to get interest. And these can be very effective. Sometimes it's something more seen, like McDonald's doing striping for sidewalks that are actually French fries. It's big and it's exciting. One of my favorites is this next one. I love this picture. It's a cool. The zoo did these buses where they painted the buses in such a way where it looks like it's got a constrictor wrapped around it. And just those things that are unexpected and unconventional. It can be a wide range of things, and this is where the creativity in your business really needs to shine through. This is where you need to find those people with the big ideas that are going to make a big impact, that are going to influence a lot of people. And so how do we do it, and what are some kind of the pros and cons of doing it? First and foremost, the big pro obviously is it can be very cheap to execute. You can literally just find a few people, give them some flyers and put them in silly costumes and say, here, go promote our company. And it can be very inexpensive. Many companies and staffing agencies in different places will get you whole teams all ready to go, which will just go out there and do guerrilla marketing for you. You can go to different areas often and see people doing this in 1,000 different ways. Another pro is that it allows for a lot of creative thinking. I mean, we're trying stuff here, right? We're just trying to see what's going to resonate with folks. And so you can be as creative and crazy as you want to be. It can be the nuttiest thing you've ever thought of. You'll see them sometimes where folks will do tightrope walking, or you'll see skywriters where they'll write things in the sky or pull banners behind the planes up in the sky. It's the thoughts and the ideas are endless, whatever you want to do. Another one is that it grows with word of mouth. This is the one where more people start talking about it. And they say, did you see this? Did you watch the plane? Or it's where you're standing by the beach and you see those planes fly over and you'd say, did you see the plane up in the sky? You get people talking about it. It grows with word of mouth. Publicity obviously can snowball out of it. Things where if the newspaper picks it up or the media catches it and they see what you're doing, you may get some free publicity out of it just because you did something outside the ordinary and outside the norm. Obviously, because there's pros, there's most definitely cons as well. There's things that can happen and go wrong in guerrilla marketing, probably more than any other. First and foremost, the message can just be misunderstood. People can just not get it. You can be so creative, so ingenious, so wonderful, and people will just not get it. This happened years ago. There was a company that did billboards over in England, and they put billboards up week after week after week, and the message was supposed to be one message this week that then connected to another message that connected to another, and people just didn't get it. By the time they got to the third message, people were just confused. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want confusion. We don't want people getting lost in the process. We want them to be clearly understood. Here is what we're trying to do. Another thing that can happen is that the authorities can intervene. This is where you have to make sure, if you're doing guerrilla marketing, that you have the proper permitting, that you have checked with the proper authorities, that you're doing everything upright. Because, again, as we talked about back in branding, your brand and what you put out there is the promise. And if you violate that promise, and if you don't do what you say you're going to do, or you don't fulfill on what you said you're going to fulfill, you're just going to damage it. And so make sure in whatever you do, and as creative as you can think, I would find that person in your company who is going to push the bounds and then check with legal, right? Make sure that everything is up to code and make sure that everything is done properly. And then lastly, it can just be there can be unpredicted obstacles. You can get there, plan an entire day of guerrilla marketing on the streets, and it could rain all day. You could go somewhere and have everything set up just right, and it could all go wrong at the last second. There's just unpredictable obstacles. People may be in a bad mood that day, and they may just be upset or frustrated by you being out there. They may see your advertisement on the side of a bus and think it's too racy or too edgy. You have to think about what the downsides are because, again, we're trying things. And when we try things, that's a good thing. And we test and we see what works and we see how it resonates with our audience, but also understand that there can be downsides. And rather than just avoiding those downsides, we need to address them at first. Decide whether the pros outweigh the cons. Decide if we can mitigate issues ahead of time before we get there. But man, if you're not doing some type of a guerrilla marketing, the most basic form is you handing your business card to somebody. It can be as extreme as you renting an airplane and flying banners over town. Whatever it might be, you should try it. You should do something creative. Find somebody in your company who has big ideas. Cut them loose on guerrilla marketing.